Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Check it out. This is the Wheel of This podcast. Let me get this camera straightened out. It went back into the way I didn't want. There we go. Hey, this is where I'm more comfortable like this. Yeah. So here we go. Here we go. Yeah, we back on this Friday night with the great Dr. A.E. Dixon. I'm telling you, tonight is gonna be
Good evening, here, people.
a,
God bless. My love.
For sure. Absolutely. So check us out. The show gonna be a little different. This show is the WIP, Living in Fear show with Dr. A.E. Dixon. So what like I always say, man, what you mean by that, Danny D? Hey, well, a lot of us live in fear. We live in fear because of the house of which we choose to live, breathe, make decisions in every facet of our life. So it kind of puts us in a way of making decisions out of it could be whatever you muster up in your brain that you want to make available for you. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a survival mechanism. Fear is a survival mechanism. So, with a survival mechanism, what do you do with it? You have to utilize it in order to make it work in your favor. That's just not to say that nobody has fears or, fears are not accompanied by, things that make you become paralyzed. Oh, some people don't make decisions. They will make the decision to not make a decision simply because there's a fear, a trauma, an associated thought that in make them basically have the inability to perform, proceed, or even produce properly. So when you understand, we always go back into the nearly fullest of the world, but we got the great doctor here today, so we ain't got to do no searching for no certain books. But I did want to point out one book, and Doctor A.E. gonna expound on this because I'm gonna read some stuff out of this book. It's called "The Invention of the White Race" by Theodore W. Allen. So understand that a lot of the commentary that we read, everything is commentary. Books, this show, things that you feed your brain. So what we want Dr. Dixon, my brother AE, to give us is a proper understanding as to why living in fear has been such a phenomenon in the past 500 years. We're going to break it up in a segment, but first of all, he got to give you know how he has this elaborate way of distributing information properly. Uh, we're going to have to let him cook tonight, y'all. It's Friday. Uh, we we've had a full week. This has been a long week, so um, my brother Dr. Dixon. Hey, he got some. Oh yeah, he got to get it off. So we're gonna let him do that. So first of all, Doctor A, let's why is fear such damn near paranormal activity in the past 500 years globally? Yeah.
Fear, like you said, first thing, fear is a great motivator, right?
Mm.
And so when you can control someone's fears, then you can motivate them in a way that you want, right? And so you held up the book, and it automatically brought some of those early ideologies or early thoughts in terms of the psychosis that developed the white race, right? And the first thing within that came to mind for me was the issue of the absence of melanin, right? The absence of melanin is actually abnormal. It's not normal, it's abnormal. And so, if you're going to create empires and you're going to motivate people and move people, then they have to have this self pride. They have to have this belief in themselves, right? And
Right.
so, one of the ways to do that was to basically psychologically change that absence of melanin into normality, right? That somehow the absence of melanin, even though the vast majority of the world has a certain degree of melanin, the
Including us.
absence of it now has to be the norm. And so that was the some of the basic ideologies in that construct, right? And that was the theoretical, one of the theoretical foundations for that. And that's just
Indeed.
what people were beginning to build upon, right? And so moving from that, they began to then develop how they were going to advance as a people, right? Because when they began to develop their civilization and culture, they realized that they were far behind other cultures, right? And so you have all of these people who have certain melanated, and now
You're coming in and
we're
out.
talking
What's going on?
about um,
There we go.
how these people are now going to motivate themselves. And then once they go to motivating themselves, they then, are we there? Am I there?
You here? We here. We're here. He's gonna come back, Doctor E. He's gonna tap back in with us, but he's putting on a solid performance tonight, and basically what he's coming from until he settled back in with us um, is very intricate. He's basically setting a tone to let you understand the psychosis and the mindset of how to and how these people are settling in, how they do try to settle back in. Let's try to get him and settle well basically settle your mind in their position. There he is. Let's get him back in here.
Hello, am I back?
Yes sir, you are back. Yes sir, you back. Yeah. Uh-oh. Okay, okay. We had him back for a second. Let's see what he got going down. But we definitely want him back on the show. Most definitely. Oh yeah. So until he gets back, I'm gonna give you some keep the show moving, keep it going. Let me wipe my hands off real quick. You understand? We're gonna keep the show moving. He's gonna come back. I may have to see if I gotta send him another invite. But if I do that, he's gonna end up popping back in the show. So mm. This book got some cold chapters in it. It's basically the anatomy of racial oppression, social control, and the intermediate Centra, Ireland, Protestant ascendancy, and white supremacy. So this book shows you. It's gonna break down. I hope he come back in. Let me see if I can send him another invite. And let me see here. You just copy this, and let me go to see if I can go ahead and pull up my send him another new invite real quick. I think that's the issue. So let's resolve that issue real quick. I think that's. Oh, here we go. He back. Okay, let's see if we're gonna stay on this time. I was about to send you another. Let's get him back live. Let's get Dr. AE back live. All right. All right. We are back. We back.
Can you hear
We
me?
cool. We good. Yes, sir. Yes,
Can
sir.
you
I
hear me?
was
All right.
yes, yes, yes.
All right. So let me speed it up there and let me cut the fat and get them meat. All right. So
All right. All
basically
right. We back.
that idea is how did these lack of melanated people motivate themselves into becoming these different nations? And it had to give they had to give themselves this self-esteem and this self-identity. Because when they came out of uh, their state, they realized that they were behind, other cultures, other people, and these people were melanated people. Now, when you fast forward, the theoretical for this country happens because they needed to make a distinction between the indentured servants and the enslaved. And even though they were even treating black indentured servants um, differently, because of certain things that were happening, they still needed to create that classism and keep the division there. And so the construct of race came in as a practical application as how classism was going to be further entrenched in this country and how racism was going to continue to be an advantage or a technical advantage for them. And so this is where we see the construct of the white race coming in, right? Because that in itself also was based on another theory that we found that was developing into the Protestant religion. And as things began to develop and Europeans began to, or whites began to actually immerse themselves into the larger world before they got there, when they started doing these religious constructs and having these ideas, they automatically made, instead of, they say man is in God's, was made in God's image, but actuality, what they did was vice versa, right? They placed God in their image.
That's right.
And so they told themselves, and we have those earlier documents that, of course, God was white, right? And so when they came across Africans, that meant, if God is white and we're God's people, then these are the opposite of us, which means these must be the devil's people. And we see these earlier documents stating as such. So that is a theoretical concept, that supported the creation of race rather, um, in this country.
So let's take a second to think about this one thing. Like this new movie out with Michael B. Jordan and the director, what's his name, Ryan Coogler. This movie called Sinner. So it associates perfectly with what you're describing as, you know, the Mississippi jazz being the devil's music, and this is supposed to be a horror film, and then you understand when we trace our lineages in our DNA, and all you can come up with and see is horror stories. So when you dissect these horror stories, because you see, we got these gaps in time. We have these
Hmm.
missing, we have these missing lineages of, you know, which is why oral tradition is so extremely important to even, especially where we come from. Like we the reversal brothers. I'm Florida, Georgia. You're Georgia, Florida. You know what I'm saying? So like, what a perfect tale between two states, especially including the Alabamas, the Tennessees, the South Carolinas, the North Carolinas, the Mississippis. So all of these collective things, but they really think that we were living in fear, you know, down south. So the North has always associated the South with being, supremely and diabolically racist and all of these things. And me and you, I'm going on 45, and you're in your early 50s, and respectively, but we are respectably younger, you're still young men. But my point, why have we never walked around in fear in the South, or never had to? Because it's home. And the connection that you have with home makes you makes everything that you experience and go through in life near and dear, right?
Yes. Now, if we're talking the question on generally why people fear, or are we?
Yes. Why do
Well, I
people
think that's
live in
something
fear? Yeah.
that's something innate too, right?
Yeah.
Part of it
Sure.
is innate, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's part of it that is also, part of it is innate, and then there's part that is taught, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Um, there's
Yes, indeed.
specific things that everyone has done, and since we're talking generally, let's let's leave it at that for just a second, right?
Yes.
As
Yes.
children growing up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that was, whatever mechanism they had to use, parents used it, right? It wasn't just um it wasn't just to to use the emotional and the psychological. Sometimes it was also the physical threat, right? So
Yes, indeed.
sometimes the fear of getting your behind, like my mom used to say, getting your behind chopped
Oh, you
was
got
what
whooping.
took it. Or, when your
Yeah.
daddy got home, because that was going to be 10 times worse for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the basic principles that we move on, right? What are those motivational factors in fear, right?
Yes,
and it's
indeed.
been used to control generally, right? Your parents
Absolutely.
controlled your behavior by the threat of something, whether it was getting your behind chopped, like I said, or whether it was losing, whether it was losing certain privileges, or being grounded or things of that nature. But it was the fear that motivated it. Now, here's the something that I say to this, and I've gone back and forth with Sister Patterson on it, and that's the use of corporal punishment, right?
Oh yeah.
And so here's the thing, though I won't go off into that, but what I will say is this, right?
Hmm.
In this society that we live in, right? I think this is the best way to demonstrate it. There was a poll taken, right?
Yes, indeed.
What was it that kept people from committing crimes, right? And that was the poll. What is it? The number one thing was not morality. It wasn't ethics. It wasn't their religious beliefs. The number one thing that people said in this country that keeps them from committing a crime is incarceration.
Absolutely.
Going
Going to
to
jail.
jail was the number one. So we
Absolutely.
have to understand when we're talking about fear, right?
Hmm.
The psychological effects are strong in some, the actual physical effects or the tangible things are stronger with others.
Yes, indeed.
And whichever one is easily the one that is stronger in that person, if it is broken, right?
Hmm.
If it is broken, then they release themselves from all of that fear, right?
That's right.
For
Right.
me growing up, my biggest fear was my father, you know,
Right.
plain and simple. My father had a heavy hand.
Hey.
And so the the thing about it is, right,
Hmm.
once I got over, and it wasn't a sorry, things are just moving around on me in here. But
You good?
once I got over my fear of my father,
Hmm.
that was it for me. And I don't know if that was a good thing because I really didn't have any fear, and it got me into a lot of trouble, as and we've already discussed my life before.
Yeah.
But
Already.
I had no fear, you know, um, and I don't know if that lack of fear leads to lack of respect as well.
I don't think so.
Um, and it very well may be in some cases, because people do fear the police
Yeah.
because they're, because they have that fear of incarceration. So the fear of police then gives them this respect, right?
Sure.
And so maybe that was my problem. Maybe, too much of anything isn't good, right? So when you have
Absolutely.
absolutely no fear, I don't know if that's good or bad or
I I
whatever.
would I would say this. Can if I may,
Yeah, yeah,
brother?
come on.
Well, I'm like you on that one. I ain't never really had too much fear. You know, it's like the more you try to push me to fear, the more I figure it's a bug in this whole equation. You can't possibly make me fear or scare you or scare me because at the end of the day, I always felt like you was a human and there was something behind that gave you this air about yourself. And then when I figured out most people are hot air balloons. Most
Mm-hmm.
people are walking around full of fear. So the same thing that they're trying to push out to some people, it don't fare well. It don't age well. Like I will tell you this: knowledge of self gives you a lot of freedom, freedom to think, freedom to be, freedom to make decisions. But it also gives you a lot of accountability. How and why would you want to be in a situation that you don't even have to uh, balance equations on feel so much? You can balance equations on statistics, what you know, outcomes, your life lessons, people that you know that have been through things that you don't want to experience. So therefore, fear doesn't have to always be the governor, as you said, because you have already seen outcomes. So when people base their life on fear, it brings them into coping mechanisms. It keeps them paralyzed and disabled. So instead of focusing on fear so quantitatively, why wouldn't you focus on something like what you can be good at? Does fear disable that capability in people too, Doc?
Yeah, I would say that, and I think it's also when you put it that way, it introduces that other mechanism, right? That's the
Sure.
unknown, right? And people for some reason seem to fear the unknown, right?
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
especially death, right? Because we don't know what actually transpires after death, you know. And so that fear of the unknown kind of motivates. It becomes a
Sure.
mechanism as well.
I agree. Totally.
And I think that is one thing that holds some people back from A, chasing their dreams, and B, fulfilling their purpose. Because it's
Okay.
the unknown. Sometimes those things cause you to get well out of your comfort zone.
Oh
And
yeah.
so when it does that, people are not willing to do that. So that is that mechanism within the field, right? You don't know,
Yes.
if I quit this job and chase my dreams and just find a job that will allow me to put more time and energy in my dream,
Mm-hmm.
will I be able to survive? Will it work? Is it worth it? All of that good stuff, right? You see,
Absolutely.
those are those
For sure.
mechanisms.
Yeah. 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 Agree. So, uh, let's lead into this next little piece of this, fear equation. So, propaganda, extremely
Hmm.
uh, big tool, big apparatus. Uh,
Hmm.
it's so it runs so congruent with our daily matrix that you have capitulant parties, networks, and different apparatuses that bounce off this propaganda machine. It feeds off of it, and it entangles every web of life into it. I mean, even China was like, y'all paying thousands of dollars for garments that are $5 and $6 to create, and how much money do people want to get? Like, so how much do we value, even out of fear, anything people say? Like, why does the world not rely on uh, um, their internal perceptions, vice those all of these different external apparatuses that we buy into? It's quite perplexed, like, because we feed into the apparatus and the propaganda, and when we don't get what we want out of it, it causes us to react. But as long as you're benefiting, Isn't that like even on the intricate levels? Like if you're not the popular kid, or you're not this, you're not that, you know. So it's all built on like really these extremely intrinsic falsehoods that formulate our energies and our feelings and how we want to feel about ourselves because every nobody wants to feel alone because it's they live in fear. You're alone. It's fearful. So how do we get back to uh, understanding who we are from an intrinsic place, like an inside out, like finding friends again and people that we love, people that we can find like I check our relationship out. Good brothers, uh, organic relationships since we met each other. It's been a great uh, exchange and acknowledgement of experiences so that we can move our lives forward and practice how we do we're moving through getting Dr. Dixon his supreme podcast off the ground so where we can build and keep on strengthening our territory and making sure we don't live in fear because this is the Wilderness Podcast, so you have to love it, like it, subscribe because we're trying to solve this fear equation. Why do we live in all of this fear? So, um, as we was going to, I had to do that little slick plug in, but as we was going to, Dr. Dixon's gonna have his own show, and we're gonna still be tight and moving everything forward and keeping on with this experience that we got going on here because the Wilderness Podcast is an experience. So, Dr. Dixon, let me tell you something about this man here. He writing scripts. Uh, he's living life the way he wants. He shows no fear. Uh, but how much fear? Let's talk about. Let's take it to this little place here since we've got between you and I as indigenous brothers, black brothers, got so much accomplishments between me and you. What is the you shown, explained, and gave us a whole lot of your fears, but we would like to know why are you so fearless today?
Mm,
You don't. Why are you so fearless? This is. I know it's the Living in Fear show, but we don't live in fear. So why are you so fearless today?
good question. Okay, I think it's three things.
Sure.
The first thing is the only thing that, like I said and just mentioned earlier, the only thing I feared in life was my father, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I stopped fearing my father, when I stopped fearing my father, I really didn't have much after that in terms of fear. I really didn't have any, right? That's the first thing.
Yeah. Sure.
Second thing is for me, they always said, and it's since a child, and I think this holds true for everyone. The worst thing in this country, right? The
Mm-hmm.
worst thing in this country is to be incarcerated, right? That's the
Oh
worst
my
thing,
God. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Don't go to jail. Don't. That's the worst thing, right? That's the worst thing that can happen to you, right? And so that happened to me, you know. And so from that point, it was at that point now it was, what's the worst you can do to me? Oh, You already did that. Been there, done that. I actually did it to myself. So then the third thing, right, is when you when you believe in your hopes and dreams, right, and the things you want to accomplish, when you believe in those, and you also believe that it is your purpose, right, that it is your purpose in life, right, then you keep moving because life, God, the ancestors, and life itself continues to carry you and show you, even through tangible things. Like, if you recall, I'm going to use this for an example. If you recall, I said that I was actually in the hole, in prison, in confinement, when it came to me that I was going to get my PhD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just a few years later, I walk into a room, meet this person, and before the day is over, before the work day, not the 24 hours, just the work day is over,
Mm-hmm.
he's telling me to apply for this PhD program.
Yes, sir.
And
I
a few
remember that.
months later, I'm in this PhD program with a free ride,
That's right.
full ride, you
That's
see.
right.
And so when you know your purpose, the universe, the creator, and the ancestors move these things, and you still sometimes worry, but time and time again, you know, it shows you, or they show you rather, that this is what is meant to be. This is what is going to happen. I give you another quick example. My sister has been fully entrenched in her purpose in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, way back in the 80s, right? She started working for Project AIDS, right? And she began with working with um, Project AIDS Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then she moved on to start a specific nonprofit there in Atlanta called Sister Love
Mm-hmm.
for Black women with AIDS, right? And that's been her purpose. She ended up getting a master's in public health.
Can we
She's
promote that? Can you promote that? Make
What's
sure
that?
you
Sister Love?
Sister Love, promote Sister Love. Make sure you put that name out there.
Yeah,
Say
by
it.
all
Give
means,
the
especially
give
for
the
your people there in Atlanta.
sure.
Sister Love, please support her. She's been doing it since 1994 now. Sister Love started in 1994. It's the second oldest organization dedicated to African American or no Black women with AIDS.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's the oldest in the Southeast.
That's amazing.
And so my mother used to joke. My sister has been all over the world 2 times. Um, they have told her she has to use some of her frequent flyer miles. You know, they she has opened up another office in South Africa. That office
Mm,
has been opened up what more than 10 years now.
that's wonderful.
And like I said, she's been all over the world. And my mother always joked, I don't know how somebody with no money been all over the world 2 or 3 times,
Yeah.
but it's because she's in her purpose, and her purpose was never to get rich.
Mm,
It's fulfilling her purpose that the ancestors and the creator and life put her here to do, and they've been taking care of everything else for her. She just spent her 60th birthday in Panama. I was like, dog, you did your birthday in Panama. I'm not talking
that's
about
amazing.
Panama City, Panama,
Nah, not Florida.
Florida. I'm talking about Panama, the country.
Panama, the real country. Yeah, the
Yeah,
beautiful Panama.
not
Shout out to
Panama City,
Panama.
Florida.
Shout out
Panama,
to
the
Panama.
country. She just did
For real.
Panama for her birthday. You
Yeah,
know,
shout out to Panama. Shout out to Panama for real. The indigenous,
and so
beautiful Americans of Panama. Shout out for real,
it's
for real.
it really is a beautiful thing. And so
Hmm.
when you're entrenched in that, back to the original point,
Sure,
for me that third thing in in this concept, right?
sure.
That I wanted to make the entire, and I'm going to, and I'm still in that process, but I left the structured classroom in the university because I'm going to make the whole world my classroom. I'm going to get people who won't normally get that information,
That's right.
that can use that information to empower themselves and empower their community, and most importantly, empower our children for the
Oh,
future.
yes, sir. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And so I'm going to take that information, that those archives that they you have to get to a certain level just to get into, and things of that nature, and get to a point where you can get to these primary sources. All of that that I've been privy to,
Hmm.
I feel like it's my duty to now bring it to the community so that we can use that information to empower ourselves, not for right now, but for the future as well.
Absolutely.
And so nothing else fears me. You know, um, I wrote an article, and just told the truth. I wrote an article about a year or so ago called "If We Follow DeSantis, He'll Set Us Back 100 years."
Okay.
And that article
Yeah.
ended up. Going through some things, but it ended up in the Atlanta Journal Constitution. It ended up in the black newspaper, a couple of black newspapers. You know,
Okay. Yes, indeed.
And so I do have colleagues that help me,
Hmm.
but I can't ever mention their name, and they not gonna help me if I don't mention their name. And I'm not mad at them. Some of them are close to retirement,
Fine.
all of that good stuff.
Pension call,
They
pension
exactly
still on
they
the
work for
line.
the
Hey
state, their
man,
pension is on
no,
the line, all of that
no,
good stuff,
no.
you know.
We ain't doing
And
that. We're not
so
doing that.
I'll never say a word, you know.
Mm-mm.
I truly appreciate the wisdom that they give and the assistance that they give on this journey, and I leave it at that. And so it is for me those three things, right?
Mm-hmm.
In which I'm not, you know, because I'm not going to fear death, because death is promised. That's the only thing in this life that is
Right.
promised to us.
And taxes.
That's a good one. You know,
Yeah, that's straight up.
and
Straight
so
up.
the other thing, right, is the threat of incarceration. Well, dog,
Mm-hmm.
it been there, done that too, and I understand this for myself, and I'm just talking totally personally now. You asked me personally about my fears, I'm answering it personally, right? When I was out there in all of that foolishness, you know, and I was doing all of these detrimental things to other brothers and sisters, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the worst to me.
I agree. I
And
agree.
so if I have to leave this earth violently, it's going to be fighting for this purpose, right?
Absolutely.
And in this purpose, if it is by the hands of those who oppose my purpose, then that's fine too, because I'd rather go that way than
That's
be
right.
laying down in the street somewhere over some corners that don't really even belong to me,
Right.
or some drugs or something else, and done by my own people.
Mm,
That would be the worst, not
I
what you
agree.
got planned.
Completely agree.
So those are my three reasons why um, I move with no fear.
Well, I thought those. I think, and I'm sure uh, all of us that subscribe and watch and view this show will take those uh, pivotal standout points as to why you really show no fear. So I I'm gonna close the show by saying this: do I have fears? Sure, we all do. If you're human, or even if you are the most accomplished mentally, or what have you. The point is not to extract yourself from your fears because we all have them. I mean, if you talk about not wanting things to happen to people you love, if you want to talk
Right.
about uh, not, you know, not wanting, not if you, the fear of not being the best being you could be. That doesn't have to be at all times, but it's the developmental process of it. It's the thought process. It's losing your way.
But
You know,
those are truly the natural fears that every human
absolutely.
being has. Those are the
Yes,
natural
indeed.
fears, right?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
naturally fear
Hmm.
what may happen to your child
Absolutely.
when they leave the house.
Or your
You know,
wife, or your mother, or your
right? Or
father,
like you
or
said earlier, your
you,
loved one.
your loved
But go
ones.
ahead,
You
brother.
know. Yeah. I mean, you consider, you look how much work, that we have to put into this show, and that we got to do your show. You know. So those are the things that we have to trust within ourselves and the people that trust and love within us. We have to share those connections strongly and positively, simply because those are the connections that are above as well. So, just like I tell you with me and my great brother here, AE, this cat, my man right here, we have a lot of work to do. And amongst others, this ain't the this is the beginning of something. We're gonna be so connected in so many places and do so many things because we have to have that one thing that alleviates fear, and that's courage. See, courage alleviates fear because you have to do something. You have to do something about your situation. You have to do something about how you're going to address your next step. You have to do something about how you're going to live your next moment. Always incorporate what you see next for yourself, and balance that, put a little courage in there, you know, get some gumption, and slowly start doing something about your situation, whether it be with your hands, whether it be with your actions, whether it be with formulating equations of how to teach how to have courage, because as Dr. AE pointed out, we both pointed out, fear don't go nowhere. Courage is what you have to strengthen. So, Dr. AE, you always know I'm always wanting you to give us a couple of kind words if I can close the show, because it's always a pleasure when you join me on the Wheel List podcast. I feel like we're building this thing together, so I feel like it's I feel excited about building your platform as well, because the more of this knowledge gets out here, and the more we can always collaborate and make sure we bring in more food to the table. Like you say, chew up the meat and spit out the bones. So I want you to give us don't make it long, challenge yourself. But I like
You
for you to
said
give.
challenge yourself. Yeah, I know. I'm long winded, brother. I know. I'm long winded. All right.
So
I see
all
the
right,
clock ticking there, so I'm gonna try. I'm looking at it. I'm gonna do it in these seconds I see click.
all right, all
First thing, if fear is going to be a motivation for you, then it has to be one of those natural fears. You can't let outside people put those fears on you. You have to let it be those natural fears that come. And if that's going to be a motivation, then let it be your motivation. Because fear is a good motivator, but the natural ones, not the ones that people superimpose on you.
right.
Now, as far as the other thing he discussed in terms of what's coming up for me, I invite you all to follow me on TikTok, Prof. A.E. Dixon, Facebook, Professor Anthony Dixon, Instagram, Prof. A.E. Dixon, because I share a lot, like I said earlier, a lot of that information that is powerful, it's empowerment, and it's good tidbits of knowledge that we can use either to self motivate ourselves or for solutions for ourselves and our families and our communities. And then, of course, three different things. Of course, we talked about the Black Seminole Project. Stick with that. Hopefully, by now, you all have gone to the website. Um, Upcoming, as he mentioned earlier, he mentioned podcast is coming. It's called I'll Say It. And that's pretty much what it will be. I'm going to tell it like it is. Uh, and these things are going to be informational tidbits and full informational pieces to help us move ourselves personally, our family, and our community forward. And then, of course, the book is coming. It's on schedule for this fall. Um, this fall, first of 2026 at the latest, and it's the same title. I'll say it. So stick with me. Stick with me. Stick with brother Danny here, um, and let's grow. Let's grow together. Let's grow our community together.
Sure. So y'all heard from the great doctor, man. So I'm not gonna add too much more to that. I will tell you what I got coming. There are gonna be new shows that will be coming up under the Wilderness Podcast banner. We're working on those. It's gonna be we're a few months out on them, but they're coming. Just understand that we're gonna keep giving you this good content. We're gonna keep giving you this these hitter quitters that's gonna leave you in a better standing. Giving you these solutions, giving you these different variables and these different timetables that are experiences in life that we keep giving you. So uh, stay tuned in. Watch the previous shows. Tune into the podcast. Tune into the Willis podcast and watch the previous shows that we put out. Me and Dr. A, he all over my podcast. We got a lot of shorts out. Check him out too. But we got a lot of we're gonna keep putting out so much more information. I'm gonna keep sharing books and giving book reviews. We're gonna also keep elevating the show and making it better. So I need y'all to say it with me because this is the end of our time right here. We gonna call it. Let's see if we can get AE to do it with us this time. Come on, come on, say it with me, people,
I'm
y'all.
saying with you, brother.
Say it with me, say it with me,
I'm
say
with
it
you.
with me. Come on, let's do it, let's
Come
do it.
on, let's do it.
The will
Will
is
is your
yours. Yeah, we got him this time. That's right. One love, people. But yeah, yeah, we got A to do that time. Yeah, that's perfect. That's good.
Good
We
deal.
gonna keep moving. We gonna keep moving this needle forward and having fun like we do. This my brother. We out. Peace. Straight up.